Hi, it's Peggy at Headshots by Peggy, and today we have Billy Cowart with us.
Hi.
So, Billy, you are, when you walked in today, I was
Yes.
like, oh, the biggest celebrity I've ever had on here.
No, please. No.
But seriously, people that don't know you, which I can't imagine anyone not knowing who you are. You're an acting teacher. You're an actor. You're just
Writer.
Yeah.
I've sold a screenplay. I had a couple of options. Done some producing. Done some directing. Done some casting.
Yeah.
Done a little everything.
Done a little everything.
Try to.
Now, I know Merrick trained under you, and my daughter Samantha trained under you, and I remember I've actually taken a class with you. That's where, I'm going to confess, this is the only time you're going to hear it, marketing strategy. Headshots are the biggest part of your marketing strategy that I say over and over. This is a guy that I got it from.
Very important. It's for the people that don't know you. And that's the secret to a good headshot is, can they get who you are when they don't know you, never seen you, never met you?
Right. Can they see your personality?
Right.
It's all the little micro expressions, and it's
Yes.
just... when I started getting serious with headshots, I sat down with you and I was like, okay, what is a headshot? What does actors need? Because it's not a pretty picture. It's not the picture that grandma wants to hang on the wall.
Right. No, I remember the days when I first got to LA, it's a commercial headshot and a theatrical headshot. And I remember the old school people like Barbara Clayman, who some people may remember, she was like, just give me a good general black and white headshot. That's all I want, and she fought it to the end. People were bringing in, they have 7 different headshots. She's like, you got another headshot? What is this? But she was awesome. She was really funny. But how this started, the whole idea of being really specific with headshots is, in the late 90s, I had gotten really frustrated, and I was at the edge of my, I was having an existential crisis, which happens every decade, right?
Right.
I'm starting a new one. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do any opportunity that pops up other than porn. I'm gonna do it. And so I was at AFI, and I had just finished a film. They had just displayed it, and a guy ran out who I had gone to college with. He was at AFI. He said, "Hey, I didn't know you were in this. I saw you up on the screen." I was like, "Can you be in my film?" I was like, "Yeah." And as he's talking to me, my phone rings, and he's a casting director down in San Diego, and we want to know if you'll come in and work as a reader for us. And I was like, "Yes." And then people were walking by. I was like, "Yes, yes. You want coffee? Yes." It's crazy.
That's awesome.
So I interned with this casting director.
Uh-huh.
And in the process of doing this, we were doing, I think it was 7 Chevy commercials. And there was one for a guy, kind of a cowboy type, getting in a truck, throwing a saddle on a truck. Uh-huh. And I was like, "Hey, do you think I could go in for this?" And they were like, "Yeah, you'd be great for this." I got my headshot in the pile. And I looked at it and I was like, I wouldn't call me in. Of all the people that I would call in, I was going through and I got mine, I was like, I wouldn't call me.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a headshot
that matches
this style of breakdown, a little more cowboyish, whatever. And the other casting associate in the office that was working there, he was a headshot photographer. And so I said, "Well, I got this idea. Can you shoot me and let's get 3 or 4 really specific headshots?" He was like, "Yeah, okay, let's try it." And so we did that. And then I sent it to my agent or my manager at the time, and she was like, "What? What am I going to do with all these? I can't have all these headshots." But I was submitting them on my own, and I was getting stuff. When I first started doing that, that first year, I booked more jobs and had more auditions than the previous 10 years combined.
Now, Merrick tells me a story about this terrible picture of you with your hat. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
He said that you look like a stone. You know what I'm talking about?
The stoner shot.
The stoner
Yeah.
shot. That it's not you, not a typical picture you would take,
No.
but it got you a lot of work.
It was, it's funny because when I show that spread at the time, you'll see there's general headshots, and then there's 2 headshots that are so specific. One I look like some redneck Klansman auto mechanic, really rough and edgy, and then the other one I look like I'm stoned out of my mind. And the rest of them, I got a suit and tie on. I look like a .com guy and stuff. And of all those 8 headshots, 90% of my work came from those two.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, and it's because when I got to LA, I looked like Zach from Saved by the Bell. And unfortunately, they already had one. And they had probably 10,000 of them. So getting in the door was impossible.
And that's what I'm always telling my clients is, you don't have to be the pretty girl. You don't have to be the hot buff guy, because there's hundreds of them out there.
Right.
If you have a flaw, run with it.
Yeah.
If you have something, whatever it is, don't cover it up.
Right.
Use it.
If you look at all of the great actors that we love to watch, it's not their perfections that we're attracted to and go back to see. It's their flaws.
Yeah.
And the specific flaw that they bring to everything, their vulnerability, or their, like Renee Zellweger, basically started a career by being embarrassed. That's her, that was her thing. It's the embarrassed girl. And there's a story I've heard, I don't know if it's folklore or urban myth, where she'd gotten an audition for Jerry Maguire, but she was never done really much of anything. And she was going in and she tripped and fell. And they had been searching and searching and searching. So they were getting down to people that weren't recognizable.
Right.
She fell and she looked up and it was Tom Cruise. And she was so embarrassed. And then I think during her audition, they were like, that's it. That's what we're missing.
That's what we're missing.
That could be urban myth.
Right.
But it's a great myth.
It's a great story. True or not, it's a great story.
And there's a lot of them like that.
Yeah.
Where, like that accident thing, Leah Remini tells a story about her. She had a flat tire walking in the door for the Everybody Loves Raymond, and no, she didn't get a flat tire. She was at the audition, and her husband called her and had a flat tire. Was like, "Hey, I got it. Can you pick up the kids from school?" And she was like, "Do you know where I am right now? Why would you call me?" And then she couldn't get rid of the anger.
She couldn't get rid of it.
She went in, and they were like,
Who?
that's the thing we've been searching for, is that edgy, angry. Right?
You never know.
When you can get that in a headshot too.
Yeah.
You get a stack of headshots and you get a breakdown and you start saying the darndest things like, "Nah, I really can't see this person doing drugs. Yeah, no, they don't look sweet enough, or they look too nice."
Yeah.
Or like, "No, I can't see them hurting someone else." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's all the things you eliminate they surprise you.
Yeah.
Right.
And having because the breakdowns are really specific.
Oh yeah.
And if you know you're great for the part, but your headshot is you're like, but I could do that.
Yeah.
How are they going to know? They're
Yeah.
never going to call you in.
Right.
They're never going to know that you're perfect unless you have something that shows, oh, look at that. And
there's a fine line between being really, really creative and edgy and being really over the line into stupid. And so you always let somebody else reinforce whether you're going to pick a headshot or not.
Someone else in the industry.
Right.
Somebody
not
that
mom.
knows.
Not
don't
mom.
ask mom, and don't, and
You're
don't.
your best friends. No, because they'll be like, "No, the one where you look cute." But like I remember doing over the years doing casting, and you get a headshot and you go like, that is so gutsy that a person would go that far. I just want to call them in to see who they are. Right. Like, did that guy just stuff himself into a suitcase and take a like what?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There was a time because once I convinced my manager of this, she started doing the headshot thing, right? And then I took it to my agent, and he rejected it for a long time. And then eventually he started doing it, and she started saying like, no, I need more of them. And so. And there was this trickle effect. Now, I'm not claiming credit for starting this, but at the same time this was happening,
just kind of
it happened. It started to spread, maybe from other sources too. And in no time, I was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the whole color thing happened when the printers suddenly were able to make for the same cost, right? And then you had to deal with color, and then things like, wait, I got to start wearing browns because blues make me look horrid, and I had to get my colors done.
Yeah, right.
So now we're just blues and bad guy shots.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Because sometimes, and I have a video about that. Sometimes you want to wear colors that don't flatter you.
Yes.
Depends on what you're going for.
Right. Yeah.
So you need to know. You need to know that.
You got to know what's good for you and what's bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's funny. Cool. So you do a lot of commercials.
I do. I'm pretty good at commercial. I'm going to a fitting today for another one.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes.
So a couple of years ago, you and your daughter did a commercial together.
Yes.
And Sammy was taking a class with you at the time. And we go to the movie theater and we sit down, we got our popcorn, and we're like sitting there. And you and your daughter come up on the big screen. And everyone in that theater knew that Sam knew you because she went out of her mind. And
That's so great.
before
She's
she
cute.
really liked you, but after she saw you on the big screen, then
Yeah, she's funny.
yeah. So, but the commercial that I still every once in a while I'll go to YouTube and watch your Bud Light.
Oh yeah.
I just die. So there's like 6 million views. Probably one of those million are just me rewatching it because
You know, the funny thing about the commercial was
And your beard's down to here.
it's definitely bushier than it is now. Yeah. The thing about the commercial was they were looking for the vendor, and they couldn't find anybody in New York that got it, and they actually brought in real vendors from ballparks and stuff, and they didn't get it. And so they came to LA. They were looking for it, but I picked up the copy and I read it, and I was like, "This isn't a vendor; he's a pet." And so
I love it.
it's like, Timmy finds the dog. I want to take the dog home, and then the dog
Yeah.
eats mom's couch, and then
Right.
he goes, "You got to go back," So we had rescued a goat. New Year's Day.
That's a whole other vlog.
It all fits together. But we had rescued this goat, and he was a little tiny thing. We thought, well, we'll put some signs around, and then we realized that he was probably going to be somebody's lunch. So we kept him. We still have him, and he grew to about 250 pounds.
Nice.
His shoulder is like,
Wow.
oh my God, he's so tall.
Wow.
And when I looked at the script, I was like, okay, so what Wendell does is he'll see anybody, and he'll go, "Can I eat that?
Yeah.
Can I eat that?" And so I was like, this is Wendell. So that's all I did was like, "Let's go, Bud Light here. Let's go, Bud Light here. Let's go, Bud Light." And they were like, "That's
Oh
it."
my God.
And so that was, I owe the goat
That's
like
hilarious.
at least 10%, I guess.
That's
so.
funny. Well, you saved his life, and
I did,
he
it's
still
true. I
eats
guess
everything.
he's-
Do you even have a couch at your house?
I know he's outside now, thank God. Yeah, he used to get into the kitchen and
Wow.
just sweep the countertops.
Wow. But you
But
don't
I have a lot
have to
of
mow.
shirts.
You don't ever have to mow.
Well, we had to restrain him a little bit more
wow,
because he
that's
was
a whole
all the fruit
other
trees,
story.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
a goat.
urban LA goat, chickens, ducks. We have the weirdest
Wow.
yard you've ever seen.
Okay, Sam's not going to watch this because she already thinks you're cool, and she's like, "Let's go see Billy."
Neighbors used to come by with cabbage and
Can we
feed
feed
the
them?
goat. Yeah, and then
That's
Yeah, funny.
funny. You live in the city. I
No,
mean,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
make this clear. You
no,
don't
we're
live,
not on a
yeah.
farm. It's
All
we
right.
have a small little plot just stuffed with animals.
So the other thing, you're a very well educated man.
I am.
That's what I heard.
I a lot of it's self-taught, and,
Yeah.
I bring in stuff from all different arenas. Like when I coach acting, people usually have a couple of like, what moments, because I'll be like, okay, so let's talk about Heisenberg's variation principle with physics and how that applies to what
Right.
we're doing. I'll bring in psychology. I
Yeah.
started to
You do a lot of I'm
A lot of
yeah, a lot of psychology.
A lot of it's
which
based
is
on- yeah.
acting. I mean, that is. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it.
A lot of it's based on Gestalt and
Uh-huh.
Friends, Pearls, and a lot of because he was a huge proponent of being aware of people's physicalizations and the things that people did that were giveaways
Uh-huh.
to what was going on with them. So
Yeah.
hides and tells and things
Right.
like that. And so, so what we're doing as actors is manipulating an audience to take them on an emotional journey.
Uh-huh.
And when you start to understand how in life people are being affected by movement and
Uh-huh.
voice pitch and stuff like that, you realize you can watch a movie now and go like, I totally see how they're manipulating me.
Yeah.
Like they're like, going dead still and letting go and just talking like, okay, this person's telling me the truth, and then
Yeah.
like, then what? I don't know where the key is. What are you talking about? And you'll see this through
Yeah.
things, and when you do it in sometimes like they'll do it in ways where you're like, oh my God, they no longer have a connection to reality, because when they're talking about the past or some fantasy, they go dead still and low, like it's real, and when they're interacting in the real world, they're detached from it, and you get this subconscious effect of like, oh, this person's losing their mind. And you don't know as an audience when they're doing it, it's all subconscious.
Right, but that's exactly
when
what
you
they're
study
doing,
it, you
yeah.
can see it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love actors that understand how to do that.
So I heard a rumor that
Oh, boy.
you started your acting career, and then you went through this little time where things just weren't working for you, and you kind of switched your. So
yeah.
tell us about how you kind of went to how you teach and how you live your acting life and how you do things.
Okay, so I started when I was 10 years old. And I started doing stuff, and I just was like, oh, you want to get up there? Sure. And I'll do an impression, I'll tap dance, whatever you want. And so I started doing theater in all the way through high school. I think by the time I got to college, I had done 30 plays.
Wow.
And I had gone to a performing arts school where they had what they called it was a musical review. They called it the touring show because we went to, Brussels and, we worked a lot with the King Center, and so we'd go to Brussels and London and stuff with Coretta Scott King and the King family. And we'd go do conventions at the MGM Grand and do these shows, and it was kind of like Glee. Once Glee came out, people understood what we were doing.
Okay, I get it.
Right. And then I went back to the private school that I was going to and graduated, and then I went to college, but I was doing commercials. Casting directors had seen me in this little review and had pulled me into commercials, and I had an agent, and then I started doing stuff. Theater major. My senior year, I booked a movie called Doc Hollywood. Michael J. Fox, Woody Harrelson, Bridget Fonda. And I got on the set, and I'm theater, so I looked at the script, and I was like, I had in my mind, I knew exactly what everybody's going to do, and I knew exactly how I was going to react to everybody. And I see the actors walk onto the set, and they're all like, what scene are we doing? Does anybody have a script, And I'm like, what? And they like pick it up, they're reading, and they're kind of going through the motions and doing kind of halfway doing stuff. And then when we'd shoot, every take was radically different. So what I did is I just said, I'm going to look like an idiot. I better just try to fade into the background.
Yeah.
So I just did as little as possible so no one would notice me, because I realized I was just going to look like an idiot. And so as I started to do this, where I was just like doing as little as possible, and kind of people started telling me like, you're really good. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so through the course of that movie, I had several instances where I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. So I would do something. And then there would another thing would happen. There's a scene where the car has been crashed, because I'm one of the two mechanics, and we're like looking down the car, and I'm doing this thing like that. And the director said, yeah, don't do that. And we were doing a take, and I realized that I had left my watch on, and it was like a Tag Heuer, and it was kind of stand out. And I was like, oh God, if they see that, that's a continuity thing. And I was thinking about the continuity of that. I was like, I hope it's hidden behind my arm. And I was doing it. I just stared and cut, perfect, print it. So I get out to LA. I dropped my psychology major, finished with a theater major because I was doing both. I got to LA, and a friend of mine was like, hey, I can get you into a screening before it comes out. They're doing screenings to get feedback. And so I snuck in and I watched it. And every time that I had done something that I thought was really interesting, made an interesting choice, it got cut out of the movie. And every time I didn't know what I was doing, or something else had happened, there was laughter, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Everything that I have learned, because college, they're teaching you, these guys are in their 60s and 70s, they're teaching you what may have worked in the 50s. Right. Like, I'm gonna get you. So I started from scratch. Yeah. I had to go and undo all the stuff, all of the making choices and doing and what's my character and all this stuff. I realized none of that stuff was working. And I found Charles Conrad, who was one of Meisner's main proteges, and he was teaching just be and become involved in what's going on in front of you, and you'll start to feel stuff, and you just follow it and see where it takes you. Now, he was really radical about it. He would say, you learn your lines, don't learn the other person's lines, go into an audition and just do it. And back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, he trained a lot of famous actors. And there are people like Christopher Walken that still work that way, but they have advantages now that they could do that if they didn't audition. But I started to realize like that was great, and I eventually, through one of the teachers through that program, started teaching that. But I realized when I started casting is like you have to understand what the world is that you're living in, so okay, what's the context here, because that changes the consequence. So doing less, because then the less you do, the more happens to you, which is a right brain, left brain science thing. And the more you put your attention outside of yourself, the more right brain you go, because self-awareness or centration is left brain, right? What am I doing? Am I good? What are my choices? That's centration. Concentration is what's going on in front of you. That's where you access your emotion. you can't access any emotion through self-awareness other than like guilt and worry and fear. And
Not emotions you want to live in.
Right. Those are immobilizations.
Right.
So they just prevent you from being able to do anything.
Uh-huh.
So I call them the false feelings. So I said, okay, but what's the context? What's the consequence? The difference between I'm leaving and I'm never coming back, and well, don't let the door hit you in the butt. If I'm in a McDonald's uniform and it's some guy, tossing his burger wrapper, the consequence is pretty low for me.
Right.
If I'm sitting in a kitchen and there's a woman with a toddler and a suitcase and there's lipstick on my collar and she says that and I'm like, don't let the door hit you in the butt.
Right. It's
that changes the
right,
the consequence is
right.
different. So
right.
So I added that to the template, and then over the years it's been an ever expanding series of templates. Like you start to understand, okay, everybody reacts differently to a certain circumstance, and I react differently to the same circumstance depending on a million different little factors, right? You get cut off in a car. How would you react if you got cut off in a car? Well, you've been cut off a million times. You've reacted differently every time. So the answer is always, it depends.
It depends.
Right.
It depends if you've had a great day. It depends
Right.
if,
too much coffee.
20 million things have gone wrong and that guy cut me off.
Right. Or is it a little old lady
right.
and a little
and
car?
You're like, oh,
right.
how cute. She's still driving. Her
like,
family
poor
should
thing.
really take her license.
Like, oh, it's okay. Right, exactly. So all those factors come into it. And also, we go into different modes. Like, sometimes there's a mode I have called, what does my wife call it? Manic Billy mode, and it's the perfectionist get everything done mode, right?
Yeah.
And that mode that I go into is from my early 20s when I got out to LA and I realized I didn't know what I was doing. And I was so overwhelmed by it that I fragmented, and I was like, I got to do everything, and I got to do it fast, and I got to do it. And so I'll go into that 21-year-old Billy sometimes.
Right.
And I can't see people's feelings because haste is the murderer of compassion, and it's great to get stuff done,
right?
But it's not great for everything.
No, it's
and
not.
So I started wondering about these different modes and why I go into modes, and like I've got this unconscious coach sending people in.
Yeah.
And sometimes they send the wrong person in.
This one.
Right. But sometimes they send to the wrong person.
Right.
And so what I realized is I started to work with actors to break down what these personalities are.
Yeah.
See how they're interacting with each other, because your lazy personality. Okay, so you're like, oh, I don't want to do anything. I need a vacation. Vacation mode, right? And as soon as that personality kicks in, your perfectionist personality will sit there on the side going like, you know what? You should really be doing something. And I am not going to let you enjoy this. So you actually don't get the vacation. You don't get refreshed and recharged. And then you go back to do something. And so if you understand what's happening,
right.
You go like, you know what? No, I need a 10-minute break. I'm not going to do anything for 10 minutes. And perfectionist,
hush.
take a break. And so we have personalities that are suppressing other personalities. So then what we do is, once we have these down, I get people to start consciously deciding which personalities show up in life. So you go like, okay, I'm really starting to have a conflict with this person. And this is spiraling. I'm going to go into silly mode. And you just go like, and sometimes that personality and your personality, which are feeding on each other, can't exist if they're not together. So if one personality switches, the other one automatically switches. And so you can literally just break like a conflict really quickly and easily. Now in acting, I tell people to use the unconscious coach, because your unconscious knows more about the material than you do. It's just you're not conscious of it. So in acting, before they start, I go, check in and see what that coach wants to do, because he doesn't. Conflict's great with with acting. So like, how do you feel right now? Who wants to come out, right? And it'll be, sometimes it doesn't make sense logically, but when it comes out, you look in retrospect and go, I get it.
I get it.
And most actors usually have that epiphany in the car on the way home, and you want to get it there. So you got to ask the right questions before you go in the door. Like, unconscious. What do you want to do? And this is happening to me. So now let's just deal with what's happening.
And see, that's exactly why I invited you on this vlog, because the way you break down things and the way you look at things, it seems so obvious once it's pointed out.
I hope so.
Because I mean, seriously, like if you're in an argument with somebody and somebody's able to make you laugh, it's gone.
Right.
Like you were ready to like punch them in the face, and
Right.
then the next second it's like,
Yeah.
cool.
Or if you're like in an argument,
Yeah.
one of the two of you just like lets go and walks over and hugs you, or
Yeah.
you hug them and just go like, I love you. I don't care. You can't keep
You
arguing,
can't.
right? But switching modes.
it's not always easy.
Yeah, once they're going, sometimes it's hard, and so it
Yeah.
takes practice, and that's why I get people to practice doing
That's
that.
I mean, that's good in life in general, but to apply it to acting is,
Right. So then, yeah, we're taking. I think it's funny in order for what we do to be lifelike, it has to be like life. Now, the one caveat to that is when we go to do in life, there's all these situations and things where people are like, shame on you, and like, you're such a biatch, or like that was so rude. In acting, we're like, oh, you were such a biatch. That was so rude, right?
Right.
And so that was so inappropriate. Oh my God, I laughed so hard, right? So we kind of we let go of the reins when it comes to those personalities and doing stuff there.
yeah.
But when we're in life, you can get yourself in so much trouble. And that's, actors get themselves in a lot of trouble. You see, the ones that are the most reins off tend to make the best actors. But you also then hear like, okay, well, they threw a phone at a concierge, or,
Right.
They got
Right.
arrested for playing the bongos naked in their living room at 2:00 in the morning
Yeah.
with the windows open. And so, like, if you can just have a little bit of a like, okay, time to take the governor off, and when you go to work.
Yeah.
And then just have a little bit of self-awareness when the rest of your life, it's more successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I talk about a lot on my vlogs is marketing strategy.
Yes.
And you have a class you teach.
I do.
And I think like you need to come back on my vlog in a couple of months and talk to us, because I can't even imagine like going into, but you have this much to give us today.
The class is normally 12 hours,
Uh-huh.
and it is an intense 12 hours. Usually people at the end, everybody assumes walking in they're just not going to make it, and they're going to be exhausted. Usually at the 12-hour mark, people are like, okay, but then... Right. I'm actually working on my next goal with that class is actually, because it's so hard to get people to commit to 12 hours in a day on a Saturday sometimes, and it's so much information to take in. I'm trying to chapterize it and turn it into a video thing that they can go in and pay for, and they can do it at their own pace.
Yeah.
So, for example, they can go in and go like, okay, resumes. There's an hour-long section on resumes, and I know it seems like, how would you need an hour on resumes? But one of the things about resumes is people mostly a lot of people have more credits than they think they do. And you have to understand that having a professional resume is not necessarily what it says, but how it says it. There's this thing I do where people can hand me a script. I'll go like, give me a script. I'll close my eyes and I can tell you if it's a bad script. I can't tell you if it's good, but I can tell you if it's bad. They'll hand it to me. What I do is I grab the spine of it where the 3 hole punches are, and I'll just run my hand down it. And if I feel 2 brads, potentially it could be good. Brads are the little copper things.
Yeah.
If I feel 3, no way it's going to be good. And the reason is because everybody in the industry knows that you only need one at the top and one at the bottom. You don't need one in the middle. So if you put one in the middle, you're not in the industry, which means it's your first script, which means it's bad. And so a lot of scripts out there with 3 brads don't get read.
Don't even get read.
And so it's the same thing with your resume.
If you staple it on your headshot with like
Right.
20
50
around,
staples. Yeah.
you're
If you
like,
work too
okay,
hard.
you haven't turned in too many headshots.
Right. And a lot of a lot of the way you do resumes and stuff has now been formalized online. So you don't even necessarily go out as often and hand a physical resume. I use maybe 4 or 5 a year.
Yeah.
And
But you should have them on hand.
you do, you do need hard copies because they do pop up.
It's random, but you don't want to be the guy that doesn't have one.
Reproducing them now, since we branched out into the 7 or 8 to 12 headshots, you can't obviously reproduce all of them. So what I generally do is I'll have one headshot, and there's a system we use where you go through and you go, okay, I'm going to go through 50 different breakdowns online, and I'm going to pick which headshot I would use for it. And when you get to the end, you'd be like, okay, the headshot that I would have picked the most times is this one. That's the one I'll reproduce as a hard copy. The rest of them, I'm going to get a printer that I can set to super ultra fine, you know? And then I go in and I format it, I put the name, and then if I need one of the crazy ones, I can just print out one, cut it on a cutting board and go.
Yeah.
And most of the casting directors now are like, it's okay even if it's a paper copy, because they know.
They know.
Yeah.
And in reality, for $1.50, you can print.
Yeah, I mean, you can always get it really well done. But it's becoming less and less. Like, we're eco-friendly.
Right.
You know, but the key is to have them and have them online.
Exactly.
And with the resume, like they've eliminated a lot of the things that people used to do that were bad, and so it's harder for you to do it. But there are still things that you can do that will give you away as an amateur.
Yeah.
And you got to know what those are.
You got to know what those are.
Right. You know, you got to imagine a casting director's job. They look at 1,000 headshots. They can bring in maybe 50 people. They're looking for reasons to eliminate people. And so if you can get past those easy eliminations, you're getting closer and closer to getting called in. Once you're in the door, then you just have to be good. If you're good, then you automatically start to get into the 50.
Right.
And then once you go to the callbacks, then you're pretty much in the bullpen.
Right.
And so that's the goal
is to
eliminate
the dumb things.
Right, pass the filters. Right?
Don't do the dumb things that are automatic. Yeah. And so I'm going to have all of his links and everything underneath this video, but people need to follow you and people need to get in your class. You have a studio here in LA, and also you go once, maybe twice a day. I saw your email. You're getting busy in San Diego, so you're all over the place. And
I've been doing Sundays in San Diego. I'm now at the point where I'm getting up at like 5 a.m. and driving down doing private sessions, and then I just shifted the classes later. So it's turning into like a 16, 17-hour day. So I might start doing Saturdays. So I'm not quite so pressured. I mean, as you can tell, I don't run out of energy very quickly. I go through that day, but when I get home, I crash pretty hard.
Well, you know, I have a portrait studio in San Diego still too.
So great.
So once a week I do the San Diego treatment. But I don't do Sundays though. We should carpool.
Yeah, no kidding.
That drive sometimes is insane. Yeah. But that's good to know, because I have a lot of people that watch from San Diego still. So I mean, definitely they need to make you come down twice a week.
And I have to do Saturdays and Sundays. I used to do Mondays, and I was getting so many callbacks and auditions on Monday that I was canceling the class over and over again. I was like, this isn't fair. I gotta.
Yeah. You work a lot. Plus, I don't even know how you have a kid and
Me too. Boy, do I have a kid.
And she's working too.
We had last week. I think there was one day where I had 3 auditions, 2 commercial, 1 theatrical. One of them was the one I'm doing a fitting for today. And then she had an audition for a lead in a new pilot from Nickelodeon.
Oh, fun.
And then she ended up with a call back the next day, and I did too. So the next day we carpooled between our auditions. But you have those days, and I'm like, well, I had to call people and go like, guys, we're gonna have to, if you could do private sessions later, or I'll Skype with you. Yeah. Skyping has become a much bigger part of my teaching process now.
Yeah. And I think you can do an effective class Skyping.
Yeah. I mean, one-on-ones especially. One-on-ones are super easy. I've had instances where people will be putting stuff on tape, and I will sit on the computer and watch them. We tried it once where I was doing the dialogue, but the voice through the computer was too weird. It was too like Stephen Hawking. So we did it. I said, okay, we'll get a friend of yours to read with you, or your mom to read with you, or whoever. So they'll read on camera, and I'm like, that was great. Wait, let's tweak a couple things and go back. And so I just have to sit silently while they're shooting it, and then I'll critique it, we'll do it, and then we've got it. Yeah. But Skyping, I have a student now that's is immobilized in a wheelchair. And so what we're trying to work out now is like once a month, he will come to the studio, and I will just work down in the lower studio with him in a private session. And then the rest of the time we Skype, because that's the easiest for him.
Easiest for everything, yeah.
So it's Skype is changing things a lot. Yeah. So.
But definitely, everybody needs to follow you and
we're revamping the website right now, and we're doing. I'm revamping I've brought in somebody to do the website, the Facebook page, and all these things, because I am not technically as savvy I'm very right-brained. So I'm good
You like
in
to
the
analyze
moment.
everything.
And I get in and I go like this, but when it's on the computer, it's like I'm in molasses, which would probably be everybody else's normal speed, if you can tell by.
Right.
People will probably have to slow this video down like 10% to understand what I'm saying. But I'm not that technical, so I have somebody that's doing that for me now. Like, you're really savvy about all this stuff. I am not as good at that part of it.
I fake it.
You fake it good.
Yeah.
You fake it very good. 'Cause, man, I can do it like Peggy does it. So, yeah, we're doing a lot of new stuff, and I'm going to start also putting certain courses and instructions, which when I'm in class with students, I want them working, and I want to be going. And the problem is there's also that, okay, but why? And I want to go, okay. So, and sometimes I get taken off into like, okay, let's talk about right brain physiology on this one, or let's talk about, and so when I get taken off on these things, it starts to eat up time. So what I'm trying to do now is systemize all of the theoretical instruction, the philosophical instruction, so that people can do that later. And so we're in class like, okay, I don't understand. I'm gonna go watch module number 17.
There you go.
Right.
Merrick told me this morning. He goes, now Billy's going to go off on rabbit holes. Just let him go. He goes, and I know you told him you could get this done in an hour, but I'm concerned because there's you and there's Billy and.
So you have to slow it down. I feel like I have to like tweak it down like 10%.
So
like,
yeah,
I gotta go watch that again. That's fine with me.
Well, it's on video. They can rewind it.
Yeah.
They can watch this 15 million times, and it's on video.
Yeah. Love
But
it.
I can't thank you enough. I know you're
Oh, it's my
super
pleasure.
busy, and I'm gonna get you to come back, and
Love to.
we'll talk about marketing strategy because you have
I'd love to.
so much stuff.
Yeah.
You just have so much stuff.
It's weird. I don't take me to a party because I'm just.
That's funny.
I think my wife bought earplugs like 5 years ago.
Did she? She was like, I think our relationship will last longer. I think that's what Merrick does.
Yeah.
Merrick's funny because I'll be talking away and I'll look at him and I'll say, "Did you hear me?" He'll go, "Uh-huh," and then I quiz him because I know he's not listening.
The nod.
It's like,
Yeah.
I kind of, you turned into like blah 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 like 20 minutes ago, but I'm trying.
Well, the problem is, we talked about with your daughter and you, visual processors, auditory processors, and kinetic processors. We're visual. So our problem is we see a picture and everything's
like,
a picture.
And it's so much faster. There's so much going on.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Literally.
So we
I mean,
start with
that's
the picture,
thing.
then the picture changes. Our mouth's got to about 100, so we interrupt ourselves. Like, we don't need anybody there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah.
The only
when I
issue-
listen to audiobooks, I can't listen to it on regular. I have to crank it up so it talks faster. Otherwise,
that's-
I get really bored with it.
That's funny.
Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have any,
Yeah,
And I drive a lot,
and
so
the
I'll listen to
pictures,
audiobooks.
yeah.
So I'll record a segment that I want to, share with Merrick or something, or my daughter or something, and they'll listen to it. They're like, what did it say? And I was like, what are you talking about?
It's like, oh, sorry.
Oh.
Let me turn it down to human speed.
Right.
And of course, our issue is though. Here's our issue. How do you feel right now? See, it's a stumper.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're on this end of the spectrum, and then kinesthetic people who know how they feel all the time are way over here, and then auditory people in the middle. So it's a stumper.
Yeah, it is. That was a tough one.
As an actor, it takes a while to, have to work out. How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? I'm like, no pictures. How do I feel?
Feel
And then I'll get down to it, and I'm like, okay, there it is. I got it.
Yeah.
It takes practice.
But I remember, Sam, I don't know, was she like 10 or something when she first took it?
Probably, yeah.
She was pretty young. But I remember you made me sit in class, and I was like, I don't want to sit in class with her. And I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you sat down, and the first thing you said is, how do you learn? And she goes, and you're like, okay, visual. What's your tail when you, okay. And you were like, you just like, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, this guy's good.
I'm I'm expensive by the hour, so I work fast.
There you go.
Try to get your money's worth,
Get
right?
my money's worth.
Yes, one of the things too with kids.
Our hour that I spent on you is taking me 2 years, so I'm still using that hour.
Right.
So it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, one of the things that I realized early on is, especially with kids, is I can't just coach the kids because you're going to be her manager. You're the one driving her to the audition. You're running the lines with her, and so there's usually an initial phase where the parents are like, what is it now? Put your eyebrows up and bounce your head and go do it like you're Scottish. What is it? And so if I don't train the parents,
then they're going to ruin.
It doesn't
the
do
kids.
anything anyway. Yeah. So I really, I'm coaching. I'm really kind of coaching the kids and I'm coaching the parents and using the kids as the device to do it.
To do it, yeah.
So I'm coaching coaches.
That's good. Yeah, I try to stay out of this whole. I learned really early on that stage mom was not ever going to be my title, and I told Sam, I said, if you ever book a series regular, you are paying for a stage mom because it's like torture.
It's a new business. Rent a stage mom.
Rent a stage mom. I'm like.
Great new business concept.
Because it's like torture, and I look at Mary, I'm like, this is what you do all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys do this. Like, this is like I have to be busy.
Yeah.
When I work, I'm like I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Like.
I look to and I
So.
The stereotypical stage mom thing is usually detrimental to the child getting work. And I know it seems like but they need to be aggressive. And what I look for in parents, and I look for this, and I just if it doesn't go this way, I discourage highly what's happening. But I want the kid dragging the parent in the door, and the parent saying, "Well, they seem to really like it, so I support them. And if they need anything, tell me what I should do." Yeah. That's what agents look for. That's what managers look for.
Because otherwise, I've been on set with Sam, and I'm like, they're never going to call that kid back. The kid may have been great, but the mom, like, they're never going to call that kid back because, the mom's like, I'm calling my manager about this, and I'm doing this, and I'm like,
yeah, I know. And there's a point, if you get dropped by a manager or an agent, it's because, frankly, you're not making them enough money. But there is also that other caveat, which is like, I don't care how much money you're making. You're eating up my entire day. You make me hate my job, so I got to get rid of you because I have to want to go to work.
Want to go to work. Right. So see, so many things we can talk about.
You do anything long enough, you start to learn a couple things. You
learn a couple of things.
10,000 hours? Is that where you reach mastery, right? 10,000.
Is that it?
Yeah. And another thing fun about reaching mastery, and this is another thing that I study, is when you reach mastery in any particular subject, you've learned mastery, and so you can apply it to other subjects. So when somebody comes in and they are, for example, a musician or they're a professional athlete, I find that I can train them ultra quickly because they know how to learn and they know what it feels like to have mastered something. And so I go like, okay, we're gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be muscle memory. Remember what it's like to be a master, and we're going to apply that to this set of sequences and 3 or 4 variables, hopefully 3. It's harder to do more than 3. So if you do 3 variables, we're going to apply the 3 variables that you have when you go to work as an actor, but we're going to also apply your understanding of mastery to it, and people pick it up so much faster. Yeah. Kids are good that way too.
Yeah, because they learn fast, and they don't have all that
baggage. Yeah.
It's funny, as a headshot photographer, I a few years ago had to get a trainer, like, at the gym, and you can tell I go to the gym never. But I had an issue. I have an issue with my leg, and I had to get a personal trainer to help me with my, and like we're like after the first session, he's like, you don't work out, and I was like, no. He's like, you follow instructions so well. He's like, and I'm like, well, because I understand the difference between this and this. Right. And, and that's the thing that some people don't understand. Like, the difference between this and this is, and it could be the way you, move your head. It could be the way your voice is, where your
attention is. You're self-aware.
Yeah. And it's those little subtle things that are huge on camera. Right. And, when it's just me and you talking, it's not as big, but on camera, it's were you looking at me? Were you looking behind? You know,
Yeah. Or
there's
were you
just
thinking
so
about what you
subtle.
looked like?
Yeah, or were you like, is my hair okay? Because like, you know.
Yeah. There is a study that they did that it improves the right brain, left brain, and you know, like when you're fascinated with something, you're fascinating to watch, right?
That makes sense.
So like a little kid sees a kitten for the first time, you can't take your eyes off the kid.
Right.
And so that's the charisma thing,
Right. That's what we do all day in Facebook.
Right.
And every time we get a chance is we watch these babies going,
Right. Yeah.
because that's
So
awesome.
they've proved theoretically why that works. So, and it started out as a study that was completely unrelated. They wanted to see if people's expressions were cultural or whether they were intrinsic.
Uh-huh.
So I can't remember the guy's name, he was a psychologist, but he eventually became an expert in the hotel thing, and he was a consultant on that show. Guys, there's a TV series where they Lie to Me. I think it was Lie to Me or something like that. So he took these pictures, and they took about, I think it was like 50 of them, and they took them around the world, and they'd go to Siberia and say like, what is this person doing, experiencing, or whatever, and they would tell them the Amazon and all these places in New York, and they were all their reactions were the same. So people culturally would look at somebody smiling and they go, "Oh, that person's happy." You know, it's not like,
Right.
"Oh, they're grilling their teeth at me and it's insulting."
Right.
So they said, "Well, maybe there's micro versions that would alter between cultures." So they expanded it to 250 pictures. When they did that, there was a series of pictures that they couldn't go like, "Now move your face like this." They had to trigger an experience and then pull the trigger, right? And so they referred to those pictures as the autonomic pictures and the other ones as the voluntary. So they took them out and they showed them these different cultures, and a weird thing happened. When they showed them voluntary pictures, where people had intentionally manipulated what they looked like for the picture, people would go, "Oh, that person's like this." When they looked at the autonomic pictures, they would have an experience when they looked at the picture. So they would go, "Oh, you know what this person's feeling?" And so the whole idea is like when you pour your attention outside of yourself, you get involved in something, and it can be anything. Like, okay, so let's take this water glass, right? I don't know if that's on camera. Okay,
It's on this camera.
All right, so you describe the water glass.
It's a clear glass with ridges in it.
Right? Okay. So that's left-brained. It's structural, it's analytical. So now I'm going to ask you questions that'll shift you into your right brain and you'll see why. Is that glass a boy or a girl? See, you're experiencing, right? See how your own experience?
Yeah.
So what happens in your brain is the self-aware part of your brain, the analytical brain, the left brain, is going like, "Oh, it's this shape and it's that." And when I ask you a question that requires you to put all of your attention into the glass and you have nothing left for you, no more self-awareness, you go into your right brain. The right brain only communicates emotionally. So it starts to give you information about what's going on, and you started to laugh and started to feel. So the idea is like, when you're shooting, you know this, if a person's self-aware, you end up with kind of flatter headshots.
Right.
When you have a person that's really engaged, and I do this with actors all the time, if they're in their head, I'll be
You
like...
have to talk to them and you get their mind somewhere else.
And I say like, look, you can't tell me that your partner, you didn't do good in your scene because your partner wasn't giving you anything if you can get it from a water glass, which you just did.
Right. That's true. So yesterday, this is a perfect example. Yesterday I had a guy in the studio and he's played tough guy parts his whole life and he's now a mature man, and he's like, I want some grandpa parts. Like my manager's like, let's just embrace that. And so this is what I was getting. Headshots. And I mean, he looks the part. He can still play a tough guy.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm getting. And so I said, "You mentioned you had a grandson."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, we're trying to get a grandpa picture."
Right.
And boom,
Yeah.
it was there instantly.
Yeah,
He's
attention
7 years
shifted
old
into-
and he has curly hair, and he played, he did this, and it's like, so you have to, and as an actor, I think sometimes you have to find that yourself, because sometimes you've got a script and okay. You're not going to get to your fitting because I'm not going to stop talking. When I first met Merrick, I said, I'll never date an actor because you're a professional liar. And he was just devastated. He goes, "No."
I would be too.
I tell the truth. I'm a
Yeah.
truth teller. And then when you were giving Sam classes, clearly I fell for the whole he's a truth teller because but
Listen, he's acting it.
he's really good.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that you bring out in your classes is, okay, now feel that, now remember that. That's, you have to be able to go back to that feeling, and you have to find the truth.
I don't tend to take people backwards in time.
Okay.
And the only reason I don't do it backwards in time is because the part of your brain that goes backwards in time is the left brain.
And you want to keep it right.
So what it is like wherever you're at, go to what's happening right here, right now. But it has to be what you're actually feeling, not what you think you're supposed to feel. Now, and that's important because you don't ever actually feel what you think you're supposed to feel. So if you look at the script and go, I think I'm supposed to be mad, you're not going to be mad. And if you go, well, I'll go back in time and try to remember when I was mad, well, now you're in your left brain, so you don't have an actual feeling.
Not a real feeling.
So what you do is you go like, let's see how I actually feel. I feel a little sad and a little heavy. And you go like, all right, let's just follow that and see where it takes us. And you watch the other actor, you see what they do, and there's plenty of reasons that working with another actor that'll make you mad. And sometimes the director will come over like, can you do it more angry? And like, did he just give me a result to play? What an
I got
there we go. It's here. Thanks, right brain. Before I even finished his sentence, I was getting mad. And so it's funny. People will call me from the set and they'll go, oh my God, they want me to cry on cue. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah. And like, I don't know how to cry on cue. I'm like, really? Like, yeah. Like, what does it make you feel that you know how to cry on cue? It's terrifying. I was like, what's gonna happen? They're gonna be so mad. I'm like totally unprofessional. And I'm like, okay, wait, it's happening. Right?
Exactly.
And so what it is just like, if you
Great.
just keep going, yeah, but how does that make me feel?
Yeah.
And the things that surprise you will surprise us.
Yeah.
And the other thing you have to remember is with actors is that most of the directors out there are not like, okay, I've got this cookie cutter thing, and I've got a square, and I need you to be a square peg.
No, they want to see how the picture plays together.
Right, and also, okay, well, if you go to a painter and you go, paint me an interesting painting, but you're only allowed to use red. Well, that's what some bad actors do to editors. They go, okay, you're going to cut the scene together, but I'm only going to do it one way through those 9 takes. So the editor's only got 1 take to work with.
Yeah.
If you go through in 1 take, you just are done with it. Another take, you're just like, you know what? I'm going after you. And another take, you're like, I can't stop laughing. And 1 take you cry through. Well, now you got this editor with this palette.
Yeah.
They can piece together the pieces that they want and discard the ones that they don't want.
I'm going to let you go to your fitting.
I got to go to a fitting.
All right. So make sure you follow him. You're on social media.
I'm on Facebook. I have not done Twitter or...
You're not on Instagram.
Instagram.
Why aren't you on Instagram? All the cool kids are on
Life
Instagram.
is so... I may start doing it. I probably will start doing something like that to tease back to other things that I'm doing.
Exactly. That's why I have Facebook, to tell people to come hang out with the cool kids on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, you do it really well. I model myself on what you're doing because you're doing this really well.
Oh, wow. I feel really,
guide you to where you got to be.
Totally winging it. But I know everybody's going to love this. I'm just so honored that you took the time, because this was a several month process to get us to get an hour together.
It's hard. I don't know my schedule until like 6 o'clock at night for the next
exactly.
day,
By
right?
7:30 it can change, and I do the same thing. Actors like, oh, guess what? I can't make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You gotta be wily.
So that's okay. You got it. Exactly. That's why it's fun to.
Thank you, Peggy, for inviting me.
Thanks. I really do. I
love what you
appreciate
do.
it. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep begging you to come back.
All right,
So
we'll do
first
it.
of the year, we're gonna come back and hang out again.
So go over, follow me on all my things. I've got links down there. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe, and click the little bell. But most importantly, have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week.
Yay, Peggy!
I appreciate it.